Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome to another video about introduction to Git. In this video, we're going to talk about how to create a GitHub account as a remote server so we can upload our codes and projects to that remote server, and we'll see how we can set up an SSH connection between our local system, the system that we are working right now, the computer that we are using, and the remote server, which is GitHub. And at the end, we're going to add a repository to our GitHub account, and we'll see that the updates and the pushes can be seen in the remote server as well. Before creating an account, let's see why we may want to need a remote server. There are several reasons that we may need a remote server. The first one is that we may lose our data due to computer crashes or OS crashes, or consider that you're working on a computer on campus, and they take the computer away from you, so all your project will be taken away. And the idea of copying projects from one system to another system does not work, and it's better to have a remote server that we have access to it from any computer, any mobile phone. And the second reason is that sometimes you may want to share your code with other people, other programmers. Consider that you got a project and you think others may benefit from it. So in that case, you may want to put it somewhere that everybody checks it. And again, GitHub is the most popular project maintainer that helps others, let others to upload their codes there, and all the programmers use GitHub like every day and check the updates on GitHub every day. So by sharing your code on GitHub, you make sure that others can benefit from it. It's sometimes called contributing to open source community, somewhere that is some place that you let others to access your code without any charge. And sometimes you want to work on a project in a team. In that case, again, you need a hub, a central place that you can put all the code there, and everybody can develop their own feature and add it to the main code without being worried about conflicts and different problems that may occur when you are copying and pasting your code and sending it through like social medias. Consider that you're working on a project and another person working on that feature at the same time, and you both making changes on the same part of the code. That's gonna create a very bad conflict if you have just copies of different codes in your local system without having a hub to help you understand that, to help you figure out where you've got problems and where you have introduced such conflicts. And also, you can get help from others. Consider that you're using others' codes and others' projects, and you encounter an error. In that case, you can open an issue for them. We will talk about an issue and ask their help for understanding that part of code. Or most of the time, issues are used to ask the library maintainers to just to introduce or develop a new feature or fix a bug, or you can ask anything on the issue. And using forks, you can suggest some ideas, suggest some ideas in codes. Consider that you have a repository, that you're working someone's repository and or code or project, whatever you want to call it, and you realize that there is a feature missing or there is a bug, and you want to fix it, or you want to develop that feature. Then using forks, you can suggest the guys, look, this feature works fine. If you think it's okay, you can add it to your project so everybody can benefit from that. There are a lot of reasons, like you want to do CI/CD using GitHub or GitLab, and a lot of ideas that we can talk about all the day. Why we need a remote server. So it's better to stop here and let's see how we can create an account on GitHub. To create an account on GitHub, you can click on this link or simply browse https github.com, or just type GitHub and search GitHub in your search engine, and github.com will come up. This is okay. Let me click on this one. Then I clicked it there. It's okay. This is the main page, https github.com. In this place, you can go on with sign in. If you already have an account, you can simply sign in. If you don't, you can go on with sign up. After clicking on sign up, it will show this page. And here you can choose your, you can pass in an email address. So if I don't remember if I go on with this one. Okay, I think, yeah. If this email you haven't created an account before with the email, this button will become green, which means that you can continue. It's gonna create a password for you by default. By clicking on this I, you can see the password, which is a strong password, as you can see. But you can go on with your own password as well. For example, my name is too short and it's not as strong. So you can add some numbers like blah, 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 make it strong. So it's up to you how they want to create it. But my advice is let's use the password it suggests, because it is a combination of numbers and characters, and it is a stronger, and it's not easy to be hacked. You can add a username, enter a username. It's better to choose an informative username, so whenever others see that username, they can easily recognize you. So I'm gonna go on with this name. Actually, my main username is this one, Mohammadi, but as you can see, it says username is not available because I have an account with this name. So I'm gonna add series or YouTube like this. It says YouTube is available as well. It's okay. And here you can go on whether you wanna receive product updates or not. I'm gonna say no, I don't want to receive it, but it doesn't matter. You can go on with yes as well. Here you should verify your account and click on create account. Because I already have an account, I'm not gonna click on this create account. After creating it, I'm not sure, but I think you're gonna get an email to verify your account in this email address that you have provided here. So after creating your account, you can come into signing section, or simply, let me show you again, in GitHub, you can click on sign in section, and you'll see this page. Here you can pass in your username or email address. I'm gonna go on with my username. You can pass in your password, and by clicking on sign in, you will be signed into your project, to your GitHub account. And at the first page, you're gonna have you'll see your feed, those that you have followed. You'll see what they've been up to, like Patrick just started Distribution in France 3 hours ago. Jim just started this project, and so on. Here you got a list of your projects, and right now we'll see how we can create a project. To create a project, simply you can create on this new, and this page will pop up. Here you should you should type in your repository name. For example, I want to pass in GitHub 01. it says it's available. For example, git-01 is not available because I already have this repository. I've already created a repository by this name. So I'm gonna go on with GitHub 01. Here you can create a public repository or a private repository. Private repository, as it says here, you choose who can see and commit to this repository. But public one is anyone on the internet can see it. So if we want to work on a team and your codes should not be shown to other people, should not be public, definitely go on with a private project. But if you're working on an open source project and you are kind of contributing to open source projects, in that case, you go on with public so others would benefit from your project as well. You can add a README file from here, or you can add it manually. We're gonna add a README file manually. And about .git ignore and licenses, we'll talk in the future videos. So by this setup, you can click on create repository. So after creating a repository, you'll see this page. It says if you've done this kind of thing before and whatever, you can go on. You got two options, HTTPS or SSH. As we talked about, we want to go on with SSH connection because we want to set up an SSH connection in this tutorial. So I'm going to click on SSH. If you click on HTTPS, the links will be changed and the process of connecting to the project, to the GitHub repository will be changed as well. So first, in this tutorial, we're going to use SSH because I think by setting SSH connection, it gets easier compared to HTTPS. I don't know, that's my idea. So after clicking on SSH, here it shows you some directions and instructions how to set up your project. You can follow this one or the ones that are available here that I have shown you. It doesn't really I lost it. Yes, it's here. So let me remove the extra files. Okay. So I'm gonna open CMD so we can follow the instructions here. I'm gonna go change the directory. CD means change directory to projects. I have a folder called project in my main folder, in my main user directory, which is called Puya. It depends on you. You don't need to create projects folder, and definitely yours might not be Puya as well. So in this section, I'm gonna create, I don't know, make there does not work here. So I have to create it manually. Yeah, good news, guys. Using make dir, we can create a folder, an empty folder as well. So I'm gonna go on and use GitHub 01. The name of the folder does not need to be the same as the name of the project, but it's better. It is recommended that the names should be the same. So I'm gonna create GitHub 01. I'm gonna change the current directory to GitHub 01, and I am inside GitHub 01 using dir. You can see that there's nothing in this repository, and using I don't know if it works here or not. Let me check it. And yeah, echo works. We created a README file, and I'm gonna show you here as well. Here we've got a readme.md file, which you can open it with a notepad or whatever. And as you can see, it simply contains this statement that we typed here, GitHub 01. I'm gonna remove these quotations from the end and the beginning, and I'm gonna save it. Then the rest we've talked about. Git init, it's gonna initialize a Git project, and we're gonna add readme, and we're gonna commit readme, so to create a snapshot of that state of the readme, which I'm gonna call, I'm not gonna call it first commit, I'm gonna call it add readme. That's more informative. And then you, based on your Git version, your master branch might be, your branch might be called master or main. By the new changes of GitHub, the main, the primary branch in GitHub is called main. So using git branch -aim to main, you can change your branch's name to main. We're gonna talk about branches, so I'm just gonna, that's why I'm not providing you with an extensive explanation about branches. Just with this line, you can change your branch name to main. Mine by default was main, but running this, executing this statement does not change anything for me, because my Git program by default creates names the main branch, the primary branch as main. So here you can add remote add origin, which means that we want to add a remote server. Okay, it says it calls the Git program, and it says just add to a remote server an address, a URL, an address to a remote server. So you can have several remote servers for one project, but in this case we're gonna have just one remote server. And as you can see, it says git remote add and call it origin. By default we call it origin. You can call it any other name instead of origin, but it's better to follow the convention. We're going to talk about different options we've got here, but simply we need to understand at the beginning of our course that we are adding a remote server to our project. We are telling to our project, to our Git project, you know what, we've got a remote server that is going to maintain our code or codes as well. This is the address, URL address to that project. Here, instead of puya-m, you should have your own username, because it's my username and you don't have the credentials to access this one. I hope you don't have the credentials. So after adding it, you can see that git remove. You can check it using git config -- list whether this remote origin is correctly added to your project or not. And as you can see, it's here. It says remote origin URL equals to git@github.com. Yeah, username, definitely yours will be different. And at the end, you'll have the project's name. Okay, if you created another project, this name will be different as well. So after this, so far what we did, we simply created a repository. We created a GitHub repository on a remote server. We created a Git project on our local server, local machine. This is our local machine, as you can see. And we wanna add whatever commits that we have on our remote on our local server to a remote server, because as you can see, we don't have anything here. If you refresh this page, it is gonna say nothing has been added to this project. This project is empty, and it shows you some quick setup to set up the connection between your local project and your remote server. So the connection is not completed between the local server and the remote server. So to add the changes, to add the commits from local machine to a remote server, we should go on with this code. So each time you committed something to your code, a change in your project, you can go on with git push origin main. You can set -u as well, but I'm not gonna do it in this one. So here it says that the authentication of host github.com can't be established, and I click on yes, and it simply says permission denied. Okay, I said okay, kind of create this connection, but it is are you sure you want to continue connecting? I said yeah, I want to continue with this remote server. But what does it say? It says permission denied. Okay, because it says you don't have the permission to add projects to github.com. Yeah, exactly. I don't have permission. What did I do? I just add a URL here, okay? And I said add this, please commit my changes to this project. It's not possible. You need to create a connection or pass in some authentication so that the remote server can understand that this local changes that are being pushed, that are being sent to its to its servers are from the same person. The same person that has created this project is trying to send some data. So in this case, we need to create we need to set up an SSH connection, establish an SSH connection, which we'll see in the next part. So as you can see, here is an image from an Ubuntu system. On the Ubuntu system, again, it says that permission denied, so should be familiar with the same error messages from Ubuntu as well. Here, there's an instruction how to set up SSH on your GitHub account, on your Linux machine, and here is an instruction to how to install SSH on your Windows machine. So you can use this link as well to access to the instruction, but it is really easy. In here, you just go on with PowerShell, search for PowerShell, and open it as an administrator. I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna open PowerShell. Just double left click on the first line, copy it and paste it here, click on enter, and you're gonna see something like true or something will be installed. Then get Windows capability online, and you're gonna get OpenSSH. And if it returns something like this, in my case, it says it is installed. In your case, I think it's gonna install it for you. And after that, you should you should generate a key so that this key will be the connection between your local machine, which is this PowerShell and hold the desktop, and the remote server, which is what we got here. This is our remote server. So we want to create a connection between our remote server and our local machine. So simply you should click on SSH key again, which means that create an SSH key, which means generate an SSH key. I'm gonna click on enter, and it says that it suggests that it is gonna create this key in users puya.ssh and IDRSA. So I'm gonna follow the defaults. Yes, go on with that. I'm not gonna passing any phrase or passwords. I'm just gonna create it. And after this, you will have your key. So let me show you the key in the folder. And Yes, here it is, the key that are generated at the same directory that it was. Let me show you. C users booyah and .ssh idrsa, as you can see. So the one that contains .pub, which means this is the public key, you can share it with others, but this is the private key and you shouldn't share it with anyone. It depends on your local system. So when you set this public key in another remote server, the connection is gonna be created because you get a public, you got a key on the remote server, and you've got a key on your local server. And by these two keys, the connection between the remote server and the local server are created. So so I'm gonna go on with cat. Let me just copy this one, and here is my public key based on this pub. So it's okay to share your public key with your friends and with others that you want to create an SSH connection with them, but not your private key. I'm gonna copy it. So I need to take this public key and bring it to this page. So let me go on with GitHub again. Click on your profile picture, or if you have a profile picture, and on the setting, go on to, I lost it, where it is, yeah, SSH and GPG keys. Here, we want to create an SSH key. So click on the new SSH key. You can have a title. I'm gonna go on with Windows. This is my Windows machine, so I'm gonna call it Windows. And here, pass in your public key. Just as a note, this part is an identifier. You can change it to whatever you want. Most of the time, people change it to their Gmail email account. So if someone faced an issue, encountered an issue with the public key, they could be able to email them using this address, but it's not mandatory to change it to your email. So I'm gonna just pass in the default one here. So just provide a name and provide a public key, and click on add SSH key. So as you can see, the SSH key is created, and here I'm gonna go to CMD again, and I'm gonna push to origin main on the project. And as you can see, everything went well. It didn't ask for any credential because we created an SSH, a secure shell connection, between our remote server and or a local server. By those keys, the connection between remote server and local server is created. So again, if you come here and refresh the page, you're going to see a readme which contains GitHub 01, and that's it. We can add another file as well. For example, I'm going to add hello world to a new file called hello.txt. Yeah, that could be. I'm gonna go on, I'm gonna execute git status. Yes, we've got a text file which is called hello.txt. I can, okay, it doesn't work here. It works in PowerShell. Cat works in PowerShell. So if you wanna see the hello.txt, you can open it manually. I'm gonna add this text file. I'm gonna commit the changes. I'm gonna say like add hello.txt. and I'm gonna push it to the remote server. So if you want to add your changes to remote server, you should go on with push. Push says add all the changes, all the commits to where you'll say to origin. If you remember, in this part, when we were adding a remote server, we just provide a name for it, and the name was origin. So this origin, we said when we add here push to origin, is the same. I mean, we kind of linking the address to a remote server by just a name. So whenever we call origin, we mean this name, this URL, this address to the remote server. So we said add it, push it to origin, that URL, and to its main branch. We're going to talk about branches, so just remember that this, the first name is responsible for the address URL to the project, and the second name is responsible for the branch name. And I'm going to click on enter. And again, the changes has been made. I'm going to refresh, has been pushed. I'm going to refresh the file. You can see that hello.txt is here. And this is the hello world, not hello world. So I'm going to just manually make the changes. So this is hello. It should be hello world. I'm going to save it here. I'm going to go on with git status. That's a file has been modified. I'm going to add this hello.txt. I'm going to commit -m hello.txt, and I'm going to say fix typo in hello.txt, and git I want to push the changes to origin and the main branch. And that's it. Yeah, let me refresh this. Yeah, as you can see, it has been, you can see the changes has been applied. And here on your project, we've got a commit history, like the one that we had on our local GitHub project. Let me show you here, git log one line. I think it was, yeah. As you can see, even the commit details are the same, A16, AA60. The commit hashes are the same, DFEC4748. Definitely yours are not going to be the same like mine, but your local commit hashes and your local remote hashes will be the same. So the histories are the same. Even in here, you can access to different histories. You can go on to commits. For example, you want to see, you fixed the typo here, okay? And you want to see what was the typo. You can click on the commit that you liked. It shows you that, in this commit, the user added just one line. It's going to show you all the changes because we just changed one file. It shows us only that file, but if your commit contains like several changes, all of them will be listed here. By clicking on browse files, you'll be go to that commit, which is DFEC748, the second commit at hello.txt. And if you click on this file, you'll see that we have the typo here, which we solved in the next comment. So here on your remote repository, you can access to all the commits, to all the changes. It is a little bit more graphical, and you can add several options to your about to kind of given a description about what is this project. And here you got a star counter. If others click on this star, a counter will become 1. You can start your project as well. So I encourage you guys to start the projects that I have, especially the intro-to-git, which is the main repository for this project. So by clicking on the star, by clicking on it for the second time, you can take back your star. So let's see, is there anything left for this tutorial or not? We talked about it. Yeah, I showed you how we can create, we talked about the star and how we can add a README file and other files as well. So I think that's enough for today's video. Like always, please subscribe to the channel, click like the video, click on the bell ring so you will be notified of the future videos, and you can find everything about my about the tutorials of intro to Git on in this link, a GitHub link, intro to Git. It's publicly available, and you can find all the notes and all the changes on this repository as well. So till the next video, have a great time.